The NFT was because I I have this idea to transform Pagali in an open company, so I can transform the action in NFTs, and the people can buy it and be part of Pagali. I didn't have this vision to create Pagali only to be local, but to be abroad, especially for our foreign communities. Banking experience can sometimes lead to fixed mindset. I use this as a foundation to identify the pain points and inefficiencies. And my technical background allow me to approach these problems with a fresh and innovative solution.
Hello once again to Africa Tech Talks. Today our guest is Arlinda Peixoto, or Linda as she wants to be called. She's the founder and CEO of Pagali, a company developing innovative tech solutions for digital payments in Cabo Verde. With over 20 years of IT industry, she's an expert in FinTech, non-fungible tokens, desktop support, and databases. Her mission is to leverage FinTech and NFTs to create new opportunities for digital entrepreneurship, creativity, and inclusion in Cabo Verde and beyond. So, she's also an ambassador for Cabo Verde Digital Program, prompting the island nation flourishing IT sector. Erlinda is truly passionate about using technology as a force for positive change to improve people's lives. Let's dive into her pioneering work that intersects tech and social impact. Erlinda, welcome. Thank you for coming to our show.
Yes, hello. Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me here. It's an honor. Thank
For
you.
us too. Erlinda, without further delay, I want to pose you a question about your professional journey. You've been working in several sectors inside the tech industry, but in several sectors. How was it, and how has been your path?
Yes. Actually, my journey began as a system administrator at electricity company
Mm-hmm.
in São Vicente. After that, I went to Impar Insurance Company and then CISP, the interbank company. In all of them, I gained valuable technical skills and business knowledge about electricity, water supply, insurance, payments, and working closely with banks. I identified the gap in financial service sector. This insight combined with my technical background inspired me to create Pagali to address these needs to
Mm-hmm.
convergence. Recognizing the gaps in the market and the potential for digital transformation in Cabo Verde at the time, I decided to leverage my knowledge and expertise to create Pagali. At the time, I was employee at CISP. So the goal was to provide innovative, efficient, and accessible financial service to people of Cabo Verde, bridging the gap between traditional bank and financial technology. At the time, we didn't talk about fintech. It was in 2005, but online payment, at least here in Cabo Verde.
You were working with the CISP, which is the integration of the banking sector. It's like it's like the network that aggregates all the banking systems and has the ATM machines throughout the island. It's an integrated system. And with your background from insurance, from other companies like electricity, water, you understood that okay, we have a need here, and it was your way of starting your process of creating a fintech and creating means of payment for the island of Cabo Verde. But that experience is not alone. You had many other experiences. As far as I understand, you also went to other countries to gather more experience. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
I worked for 9 years at CISP as
Mm-hmm.
system administration and developer system. also. And one day I decided to quit my job and start this entrepreneur journey here in Cabo Verde. I always have has this background of financial sector and this other service background, but I needed to improve myself more about this technology, about financial technology, and so at the time I didn't went so directed to fintech or direct to financial sector. I create my company and I start to deliver service, develop software, because I didn't have any financial funds, so I didn't have funds to put Pagali online at the time. And I start to my company, me and two colleagues, and we start developer system for orders and support. That's the way after I start to develop Pagali by myself. And for years after, so I study fintech in Harvard, a specialization. Also, I gain a scholarship for Ant Group, Jack Ma Foundation. Took two training there, the financial inclusion and green fintech. And also I participate in many conference about fintech, about NFT, about cryptocurrencies in many countries.
You've been having an amazing experience. Uh, so Harvard, learning about fintechs, and then China with the Ant Group, which is, I believe, one of the biggest fintech.
Yes, in the world.
It's one of the biggest fintechs in the world, and also probably one of the biggest transaction means in the entire world, because they transact a huge amount. But also you derived here into NFTs and cryptocurrency, so you gained a very large vision, which is quite interesting, of how the entire ecosystem works before you founded Pagali, correct?
Yes, the NFT because I I have this idea to to transform Pagali in an open company, so I can transform the action in NFTs and the people can buy it and be part of Pagali. And I also create this. I create 2,000 Pagali NFTs. I have them 2,000, but here in Cabo Verde we need a lot of legislation regulation about NFT because we don't have this smart contract. Is the key piece of NFT? This smart contract here in Cabo Verde when you subscription on stock, like I want to buy stock from Pagali and get this NFT, can transform me as a partner of Pagali. We need a smart contract, and here our legislation is not ready for that. So this 2000 and Pagali NFT stay there. Maybe one day I can put them on the market.
Let's hope so.
That's what the my journey to NFT, it was for that. Yes.
Let's hope so. Very well, thank you, Ivo.
Yeah, thank you, Andre. So my question, I will try to pack like two questions into one. So Cape Verde is a country that has a very high level of people or citizens that have bank accounts, at least compared to other countries in the region. You have like, correct me if I'm wrong, at least seven commercial banks operating currently, right, in the
Yes, yes.
country.
Yeah, you're right.
And since the inception of Pagali, which I think it was in 2013, right? So
Yes.
11 years later, how do you encounter the current payment system back then and now 11 years later? And since you touched the subject of NFTs, crypto, how has your vision of those, call it technologies, right, changed and evolved through time? That is my main question to you. So payment system 2013, let's fast forward to 2024. How do you see things have evolved and changed since then?
very slowly. Because at the time in 2013, we don't hear about fintech. He actually, I don't know our other part in the world, but here in Cabo Verde, we don't talk about fintech. This term doesn't exist. It was online payments, and it was quite new because I was working at CISP at the time, and CISP it was a very successful company since launch the system. It was very surprised how massive they go all the island with ATM, POS. It was very successful and surprised at the time. And when I was there, I think no, we need to do next step. Next step it was online payment because the system at the time at C-Suite was struggling with infrastructure, accessibility, and financial inclusions. And say the way we can massive more it's through online platform, and we didn't have any legislation about this. And I create the system, I develop everything, and 2 weeks before the launch, because I put a launch date with the event. I invite everyone. I invite the government, companies. I do a big event to launch Pagali at the time. And 2 weeks before, I went to the prime minister at the time and put this my concern about the evaluation about the system payment. And I justify, argument a lot, and he creates this directive that at the time in my launch Pagali, I couldn't launch and start to operate. It's a directive about the system payment, online payment. And also he was open my launch event, the prime minister. So 11 years after, I think we went very slow to improve the legislation and the regulation. 2 years ago, that central bank launched the new legislation about fintech, about how you can have a wallet, how you can implement a wallet, how or 3 years ago the cryptocurrency, how you can have digital coins. So I think it's very slowly.
Okay, so you feel like in 11 years, not
You couldn't
much
do
has
more. You
changed.
couldn't do more. Yes, you couldn't do more.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Cape Verde has an interesting volume and amount of remittances from Verdeans that live abroad, right? I
Yes.
think in 2021, this was like $312 million,
Yes.
taking into account of the population that lives in Cape Verde. This is a huge amount of money, right? And
You're
of
right.
those 312 million, I think I read it somewhere else, someplace in some place that 40% is still through informal channels. So it
Yes.
doesn't flow through the regular financial system. Do you see this is also an opportunity that Pagali could tap in? How do you
Yes,
see
of
the
course.
remittances?
Yes, of course. It's because here, we are a small country, and fintech needs a big number of clients. I didn't have this vision to create Pagali only to be local, but to be abroad, especially for our foreign communities that participate a lot in the economic here in Cabo Verde through remittance and send money for their family and others. I see it's a good opportunity for us, but we still struggled with the legislation about this, and and the banks, I think they are not interested to open this market for other players, and that's the main concern here. How the central bank can improve here and improve the legislation, because right now the legislation, I must be like a bank, or almost a bank. I don't I don't think it's
Okay.
fair. I don't think it's fair for us as a fintech to regulate in the
To
same
have
path.
this The
Yes.
same requirements, the same financial
Yes. Yeah.
capability,
Yes.
just
Yes.
you
Yes.
a part of the.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's like a digital bank. It's different. Digital
Right.
bank and fintech is different. So the I think they need to improve the legislation. That's why we still have this lack of opportunities for a company like me, like Pagali, to get this opportunity to grow.
So reforms in the legislation are needed, according to your opinion, in order for things to be more friendly
Yes,
for
more
for
smoothie,
fintechs,
more smoothie, more
more smooth.
friendly. Yes, 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 yes. I think so.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Linda. Thank you for
Yes,
your answers. Victor, the mic is all yours.
Mhm. Thank you, Ivo. Hi, Linda. I'm curious about the roots of Pagali. I think Pagali is a popular expression in Cabo Verde, right?
yes. It's all
And
around.
you mentioned that you were in the right context at that time in the financial sector or the services that were related to all the banking system, and you found opportunity for more efficient services and also more affordable services, right? And also it could be more integrated to other service providers. How, and you also mentioned that you had to set up your own software development company that in meantime was developed like an aside project, this new venture. How was that at that time, and how was the evolution? Because I guess you were doing everything as a CEO, CTO, CMO. How was that?
No, at the beginning we must to do everything. You
Right,
know, yes. This is the journey of any entrepreneur. I think so. At the
right.
beginning, you must to do everything. So at working with the bank give me this insider view of the financial sector in Cabo Verde. I saw at the first hand the challenge of in infrastructure, accessibility, and this experience highlight me the security and trust in financial service. I think Pagali create this trust, the Cape Verdean trust in Pagali, and the trust is very important in financial service. So it is such as a long process time and limited of access to financial service for certain segment of population. Understanding this pain point allow me to design Pagali service to address these issues directly, focus on a user-friendly and digital solution that enhance financial inclusion and a streamlined banking process. While the traditional banking experience can sometimes lead to fixed mindset, I use it as a foundation to identify the pain points and inefficiencies. And my tech background allow me to approach these problems with a fresh and innovative solution. And we have also it I'm not alone, of course. I have a team with me and they are very, very good. I think we Cavarians, we are very innovative because we have a lack of many things here. As we are Iceland, we need sometimes to innovative. I think it's in on DNA to be innovative, to create, because we don't have any resource here. So uh, we are very innovative. I believe that, and I have a great team with me. And I surrounded with youth people that bring this fresh idea, these innovative ideas that incorporate in Pagali.
In fact, it has evolved as a side project within your software development company, but in meantime, it became a growth child, let's say. Well, in addition to the regulatory constraints or difficulties that you have been facing, and you already mentioned that, what other challenges did you face, like finding those talents to develop the platform, but also on the proof of the market. How was that for the local community? How was that challenging to introduce this new platform and to get the proper adoption of it?
I think now is easier, I can say, because at the time you have a lack of digital literacy. We didn't have so much cell phone like now. Like now we have two cell phone for each coverage. We didn't have so much cell phone. It was only online web. We didn't have we didn't have an app, only a desktop application. So the challenge was the digital literacy at the time, and also the internet access. It was a big challenge because at the time, it not like today. The people can have on the cell phone, they have the package of internet and they can use and pay their bills and everything. So I think that's a part of the legislation on the regulation, because it wasn't my big concern. It was the digital literacy and internet access, because any innovative solution start without any legislation. So it wasn't the big concern, because I think at the time the legislation will be come when I'm on the market. Fortunately, they can stop me, but they come to me. So my biggest concern was the access of internet and digital literacy.
Okay, and that has been evolving quite significantly in Cape Verde, as we know.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
now that you have the solution more or less stabilized, right? What are the next steps? So from now on, what can we expect from Pagali? Is broader services or other geographic ventures? What's in your plans, in your mind?
Pagali initial focus on simplifying digital payments for the average Cabo. As we grow, we expand our vision to create a comprehensive financial ecosystem addressing various financial needs behind just payment. Our goal is to leverage technology to provide accessibility and affordable and user-friendly financial service that could bridge the gap between the unbanking population and financial inclusion. We start with the basic, focus on digital payment that could be accessed easily through smartphone. And now our vision evolved to encompass a broad range of financial service. We realize that to truly empower our user, we need to offer more than just basic payment. We want to expand our offering to include remittance, microloans, and saving plans and investment opportunity to right to meet the unique needs of individual and small business in Cabo Verde and abroad. And also our commitment to innovation and user-centric design has driving us to continuously improve our platform since beginning. Right now, we're working on a new version, integrated advanced technology such as artificial intelligence and machine learning to enhance our service, uh, providing personalized financial advice and fraud detection. Additionally, we are also creating a strong emphasis on financial education, helping our user make informed decision about their finance through partnership with local and international institutions to extend our reach and impact, because as we see the legislation is still like it is. So it can be an opportunity to partnership with others, so we can extend our service in other countries in Africa, and that's ensuring that Pagali remains at the front of financial innovation in Africa, to not only be the leading fintech company in our region, but also to inspire and contribute to the global movement towards financial inclusion and digital transformation.
That's so great. Yeah. The other day, I was reading a report about AI readiness in Africa, and Cabo Verde is in sixth place, I believe, which is great. Yeah. So you have the right environment to develop those innovative solutions there. In terms of those geographic scope, so it will be to Portuguese-speaking countries in Africa or other countries as well. You mentioned a regional, say, scope.
The Portuguese country have it's the financial system is similar. It's easier for us, but I this week actually last week I participated in a EcoBank FinTech Challenge.
Right.
I hope I
Hmm.
win.
Good luck.
So
Hope so.
yes, it can be a good opportunity for Pagali because they are almost in 50 countries in Africa.
Hmm.
So incorporate a financial system like EcoBank, it can be a huge potential for Pagali because uh, to bring us the market, that's what we want. We want the market and the client.
Yeah,
So I hope we can even I didn't want the challenge, but I believe I can make a partnership with them to start Pagali in the other country where they are
that's
because
great.
our goal is Africa and the diaspora of Africa. That is a huge market.
It is. It is. It is indeed. Thank you, Linda. Now passing you over to Andre, who will resume.
Thank you, Victor. Before entering the last question and understanding that we're going to go a little bit into fintech in Africa, but before that, and in the same topic, this is off script. Let's call it off script. Pagali is a fintech, and fintechs to grow, mostly they need big markets because they tend to scale up faster than banks because they, and as you said, you need less regulation because you don't need to act like a bank. You need to be more agile, and that's one of the questions that we are always putting in weight whenever you're talking about the US or Europe or Asia. And even I think last week we had a guest, last week or 2 weeks ago, we had a guest, and he was saying that in China, for example, uh, the legislation was very open, and at some point now they're trying to restrain it, and they're trying to keep it under a little bit of constraint so that they can now look at what the openness did and see what worked and what didn't. But this led to develop a lot of solutions, a lot of services, and this created a huge scale. As we talked in the beginning, we see the Ant Group solution of payment being one of the biggest in the world. So this is really what happened in the world. So, but now I look at Africa, and one of the things, and the things that our guests mostly talk about, is that legislation is complicated to grow. There are a lot of barriers, and this truncates into these two questions. So, what do you think that comes as the fintech future of Africa, and how do you think that Pagali can grow with, like, I mean, financing partnerships? You told us that you were partnering at some point or at some degree with EcoBank. So how do you see this all playing out for you to grow, for fintechs to grow, and for the African market to create a more unified app?
Um, I I clearly optimist about the future of fintech in Africa. I'm very optimistic person.
Okay.
Uh, the continent is experience a rapid digital transformation, and fintech is forefront of this revolution with young, tech-savvy population, and increasing mobile phone penetration, Africa is poised to leapfrog traditional banking system and adopt innovative financial solution. So in Africa, we have a very innovative solution in this area. And fintech has the potential to address some of the most pressing financial inclusion challenge on the continent by providing accessibility and affordable financial service to underserved population, from mobile banking and digital wallets to blockchain technology and peer-to-peer lending. The possibility is vast. Yes. Moreover, you are right. The collaborative ecosystem of startup, governments, and international organization is creating a conducive environment for fintech growth. Regulatory frameworks are become more supportive in some countries. I see in Ghana, for example, uh, Rwanda. We and there is a growing emphasis to fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. I believe that Africa's unique challenge and opportunity will drive the development of fintech solution that could become models for the rest of the world, because we have a market. The market is huge. We have a very youth population, so, and capability also. We have knowledge here, and for example, I see Cabo Verde. I talk a lot of this. Maybe the people think I'm crazy. Cabo Verde, here we can use Cabo Verde like a sandbox, like China do is a lot in the past. What China do all now, China is a very growth economy because he used China like a sandbox, and Cabo Verde can do like this. I can see a niche of markets. Okay, we can grow in this niche. Let come Cabo to a sandbox and let the entrepreneur innovate it, and like a big brother, let's see what is going on. Let they innovate, what's the market, what it, the population will adapt it, how it's, and then you can start to implement the legislation and the regulation, because we're very small. It's very fast for us to test the product here, so we can use here like a sandbox. Now we have the technology park, and we have all this idea to transform Cape Verde in a digital island. So we must start for some point. We must start for any time. We must to open for this innovative solution. And now what happened? You see, if another country do some legislation about the innovative solution, can will go there, copy, and start to implement here without any innovation, without any solution. It's not viable for us. So we must to change this paradigm, and to see a holistic vision of all the island, and how we Cape Verde can position it in the world or in Africa as a real digital island. That's my point of view.
And you guys started a project which is Cabo Verde Digital, correct? Which is trying to, not trying, is pushing forward. And we see a lot of young entrepreneurs going to all the conferences around the world. You have the support from government, you have the support from the institutions. And as you said in the beginning, you talked with the institutions, and one of the things that you were not afraid of was the legislation, because you knew that you would have that support. And so you believe that because of that, probably, Cape Verde can be one of the most innovative sandboxes in Africa, so that afterwards other countries can uh, gather that information, use it as something that they can deploy in their own countries, and probably not risking as much, because everyone, no one wants to take the risks, no one wants to to open the market at some degree where any app can enter and everything can happen. So you're seeing that. Interesting, interesting. One other thing, and this is related also. What do you see that is going to be the most used product in Africa? Because in these terms of fintechs, because whenever you talk about, and I'm not trying to make publicity, but you always have to go into M-Pesa or the big ones, okay? But let's talk about M-Pesa. They use mostly, or one of the products that they use mostly is the transfer from one side to the other, because people don't put money inside M-Pesa. They normally use it to transfer from one point to the other, and the moment that it arrives the other point, it gets withdrawn, and they don't use the app for payment. So it's mostly a peer-to-peer
Yes. Yeah.
app.
Yes. I,
How?
uh,
Yeah,
Well, they use it for payments for typically for airtime, Andre. They use
yeah,
it
airtime. Yeah, yeah,
to
sure.
buy airtime and other things.
But I wanted to know from your experience, how do you see this? How do you create a more integrative environment in this area, and how do you maintain the cash flowing inside the app so that payments can come from the apps?
yes, the environment is very different. In Pesa start with an environment very different. In some, most of the country in the continent, they have a huge population and unbanked population. Is different
Mm-hmm.
from Cabo Verde. And those
Mm-hmm.
most of I don't in some country I think St. Pesa don't have an app. They don't use smartphone. They use the regular phone
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to transfer money. But I think nowadays the things is changing. The solution is changing. What I hear about them, and they now they are creating apps
Apps.
because they want to discontinue this regular phone for made
Mm-hmm.
the the remittance and the money transfer. I think it's a different environment. The population don't have a bank account here in Cabo Verde. Almost 88
Everyone.
everyone have who have a work have a bank account. So it's a very very different environment. But I think in Penza also will be changed in the future to use this user friendly application and start to deliver the other service in the app. That things they for sure they will do this because the population now have more information. The internet access is now more accessible around the continent. M- I think they will be changed this abroad this how they use the system.
Okay. One last question, and I'm not going to bother you anymore. Uh, but um, you see in Europe lately the growth from Revolut. They
Yes.
reached, I think, from 2023.
Yeah.
Last
Yes.
data I read about it, they had 25 million downloads of the app, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Yes.
Um, in the US, you don't say transfer me money, you say Venmo me money.
Yeah.
Send me a Venmo or Venmo some dollars. Do you see this happening in Africa as a continent? Because okay, we are talking about Europe and the United States. Like the United States is an old continent, and then you have Nubank in South America, which is also growing spectacularly. Do you see this happening in Africa? One app taking care of or
Yeah.
growing to this
I
point.
think it could be because now the government in some countries in our region start to talk about one currency. And some
Mm-hmm.
countries already apply to that, to the use one unique currency. In states use different, the same currency. I think it can be, and we have some leadership in some country are pushing for Africa more unite, like you see in South Africa. uh, Ghana,
Hmm.
Rwanda. So I see they are pushing to leverage the Africa people, and to the people can work with in their country and deliver more solution. But that's the points is go to the same place. We must to have like you have in Europe. You have uh,
The same currency, the euro.
Union European, also in US. US they are also almost one continent. So you must to have a standard legislation for all the
Hmm.
countries. It can be some in Cabo Verde is one way, Senegal another, Guinea-Bissau another. So we must to talk more the leadership of this country, and in some areas they can create standard
Hmm.
for the entrepreneur can expand their business and have one union Africa like you have
Hmm.
in Europe also. In my point of view, I think it could be.
So you're a fan of the Indian model of development, which
Yes,
is less like China. China built roads, India built fiber optics channels, and they created the
yes,
legislation. They educated the people, and this led them to a huge development. So you also believe that this
yes,
development of the legislation in every country together, if they
yes,
get together, they created legislation, embrace this kind of partnerships and agreements, so that all up can emerge from that. This
yes,
is also an opportunity for, as far as I understand, this is also an opportunity for your NFTs and the crypto, right?
yes, 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 it is.
You see, I believe that this can be also a future for the payments in Africa. Okay, okay, thank you so much. Before we go, so what advice would you give to young entrepreneurs in Africa?
Oh, thank you for having me here still.
No,
My advice.
before we go,
Okay,
yeah. Oh,
before we
before
go.
we go,
Okay.
I want to know before the thank you, before the thank you part.
Okay, okay. So, uh, my advice to inspire fintech entrepreneurs in Africa is to stay deeply connected to the unique needs and challenge of your local markets. Understand the pain points of the communities you aim to serve, and design your solution with empathy and user at the core. Be resilient. I'm very resilient and adaptable. The
Hmm.
journey of an entrepreneur is filled with challenge, especially in the fintech space, where regulation and market dynamics can change rapidly. Embrace this challenge as an opportunity to learn
Hmm.
and innovate. Don't let this legislation break you or stop you to go and create your solution.
One of our guests, Neto, when asked this question, he said, "Don't do it. Just don't do it. This is very hard." We follow him on Twitter. I mean X, and he's always posting about how hard it is, and it, I think that at some point, if he knew, or if most of the entrepreneurs knew how hard this was, they would not go into
Yes.
entrepreneurship. You work at banks.
Yeah, as I say, I'm very positive. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I take it's hard, but I think we must build strong network and seek out partnership, collaboration with other startups, financial institution, and regulator also can open doors and provide valuable resource and insight. Don't be afraid to reach out and them to learn from others who have walked a similar path. Don't be afraid to start small and iterate based on your user feedback. And lastly, maintain a commitment to ethical practices and transparency. Trust is the concern of financial service.
Yeah, true.
And by building a trustworthy brand, you will earn the loyalty and confidence of your customer. Africa is a land of immense potential, and with dedication, innovation, and focus on create a positive impact. You can contribute to the continent's transformative growth in the fintech sector. Keep your vision clear. Stay passionate. I'm very passionate person for IT, all of technology. And remember that your work has the power to make a significant difference in people's lives. Eu acho, and the end, that's what we want also to impact the people's lives. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Very well. Very well.
Awesome. Yeah.
Linda, thank you so much for coming. We're very grateful for your insights and for sharing with us the knowledge that you accumulated throughout the years and sharing it with our viewers your vision of the fintech space in Cabo Verde and in Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I hope it was useful for you. As I say, I'm not so talk people. I more I love the keyboard more than talk. So thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah.
Linda,
Thank you,
for
Lynn.
us it's a pleasure.
Yeah. It's-
It's a pleasure, and let me tell you that you did fine with the interview, and it's important. And one of our roles in the industry and in the tech space is, although people don't like to talk, we know that, and we understand that people don't like to talk, but they need to come out, especially innovators, especially people from the entrepreneurship space. We need to come out. We need to say what we're doing. We need to show the world, and this is very important in the end.
Yeah, yeah, indeed, you're right.
So thank you once again to our viewers. Thank you so much for watching us. Subscribe to the channel, put a like, and you can comment. Please, thank you, and we'll be back soon.